Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And some of you probably thought about starting your very own sports podcast. Well, let me help you out. I want to tell you a little bit about Anchor. Now, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's an easy way to make a podcast, and it's free. You don't have to worry about paying a bunch of money each month. There are creation tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So it can be heard on apps like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. So go to anchorfm.com and start your very own podcast today. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Hey, this is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and I want to take a minute to tell you about POW Audio. Now, POW Audio is going to change your listening experience. You're probably asking yourself, TJ, how is POW Audio going to change my listening experience? Because POW Audio has a revolutionary design, delivers a crystal clear and powerful sound in a collapsible Bluetooth speaker. That's right, collapsible Bluetooth speaker, and is designed for ultimate portability. So check out facebook.com, search POW Audio, or on their website, powaudio.com. That's POW audio.com.
One more time.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and welcome to the State of the Saints podcast. And I really do appreciate your time. On this edition, we will have a special guest, T-Bob Hebert from ESPN 104.5 out in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You probably know him if you stay out in that area. He does a morning show called Off the Bench. So he will be a guest on the show. I want to say thank you all for tuning in. Special shout out to the chat. And also, man, I want to say thank you to everybody. I mean this, to each and every one of you that were a part of the State of the Saints podcast live on the last show that we did. It was the highest viewed State of the Saints ever. Now, we've been doing the State of the Saints going into our third year. It'll actually be 3 years. September the 8th, believe it or not. That was the highest viewed podcast that I've ever done. So I want to say thank you all so much. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it, man. Y'all could have been doing so many other things. So, I mean, I'm extremely humbled by that. So I'm looking forward to having a good show. T-Bob will be here soon. But as of right now, I'm just going to give a special shout out to everybody in the chat. I see Dexter is in here. Chemo, Cross, Jerry, Travis, you're all doomed. Okay, I mean that's one heck of a profile or a handle. Jamarcus is in the building. We have Carla, we have Shamika. So yeah, we got quite a few filing in. Just before we get started, today's topics are going to be about Jadeveon Clowney. Of course, I'm going to ask T-Bob about that. Of course, we know about Alvin Kamara's contract. People are still wondering, is he going to get signed? There's a lot of unanswered questions in the Who Dat Nation, and hopefully, we try to clear some things up, and hopefully we'll have some more clarity by the end of the day. I mean, I know the New Orleans Saints, they're going to practice today. The contract negotiations between the Saints and Alvin Kamara's representation is taking place. And also Jadeveon Clowney, man, the Saints are really aggressively trying to get him to be a part of the team. So much to talk about coming from the New Orleans Saints. And not to mention, I mean, the up-and-coming Week 1 game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which I'm not going to lie to you, I was watching Undisputed before I actually started to do this show, and they showed the promo of the Saints versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm gonna be 100% real with you all. Your boy was fired up, okay? Man, I was fired up watching that, so I recorded it, man. I put it on the State of the Saints podcast Facebook page, and tell me, watching that promo, you're not fired up. I know I am, man. So much to talk about, but while we're waiting for T-Bob to come in, I'm just going to go ahead and answer some of your questions that you may have and some comments. Shamika says, the show was great last night. Yeah, I agree with that. That was a fun show. That was probably one of the best shows that I've done. I mean, like I said, it's very hard for me to go back and watch some of the shows I do. Not that I don't enjoy it, but just the fact of looking at myself on camera, I mean, I haven't grasped that type of concept just yet. I mean, I'm on the radio Monday through Friday every morning, but it's one thing to hear yourself, but actually see yourself. I haven't, reached that point of my career just yet, but I have enjoyed watching the State of the Saints podcast on last night. Some of the commentary, everything was just great. So thank you all very much for making that possible. I mean, as of right now, less than 24 hours, man, we're almost at 3,000 views on YouTube, man. And we are about 7 subscribers away from 4,000, right? Before the show started, I think I was probably like almost 50 away from 4,000. So that tells you everything you need to know. And I want to thank you all for making that all possible. I really do. Jamarcus said, congrats to everyone in the chat. Yeah, thank you for making it possible. I appreciate that. A says, TJ, what's good, brother? I've been working, been missing the show, but been catching it on iTunes. Well, I appreciate that, Ace. I appreciate that, Ace, because, I mean, we're really trying to push the audio podcast. A lot of people, they tune into YouTube and on Facebook, and I appreciate that. But I ask that you take the time out to please subscribe to a streaming app, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you get your podcast or your music from, and search the State of the Saints podcast. And please subscribe to the State of the Saints podcast. We're really trying to grow. I see the numbers are starting to pick up. But, if you have not done that already, all I'm asking you to do is just take a few minutes of your time, and subscribe. All right. Craig said, how y'all living? What's going on, Craig? Appreciate you stopping by. Travis says, it was great, and I definitely agree with your opinion on Clowney. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, didn't agree with what I was saying, Travis, but that's what makes this show so great. We don't have to agree on everything. But we have a good time and breaking things down, so I appreciate that. Thank you, Travis. Tragic says, nothing like two New Orleans just able to relate to one another. Yeah, I mean, well, we all know, man, when it comes to the Saints, we have a lot of difference of opinions. You got the fans that really don't understand football. They only understand what's in front of them. Then they got the fans out there that's been long-time fans like myself. Then you got fans out there, that are casual, that want the Saints to win. And then you got the grandstanding fans who say they've been a Saints fan since the mid-'80s, but, only come around during the playoffs, which a lot of fan bases have. But whatever fan you fall into, we appreciate you here, okay? Jamaica says you showed your natural born tail and was dead on. Hey, it was all about entertainment. I try to be informative, but at the same time, Shamika, I try to be entertaining as well. I don't want to be dry, be up here just sounding like I'm Ben Stein or something like on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And if you probably never seen that movie, you know what I'm saying? It's the movie with Matthew Broderick on there, and he had Ben Stein as his teacher. Anybody know who Ben Stein is? He's the guy who used to be on the Clear Eye commercials with that slow dragging voice. Okay. And I try to avoid being that type of person. I try to bring the energy. I try to get it hype. You know what I'm saying? Especially when I'm talking about the black and gold, because I really love my team, man. Love my team. Chemo says, happy birthday to your wife, Jamarcus. My birthday tomorrow, man. Happy birthday to Jamarcus's wife. God bless you to see many, many more. And we appreciate you here. Carla says, got to hurry up and sign AK-41. Yeah, Carla, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, though. Like I said, he's at practice. The Saints have been working with him, the representation, I should say. So they're going to get a contract. They're going to get a contract done. I'm 100% sure that they're going to get a contract signed. Robin McCoy, we need new trainers for real. Let me see. I'm subscribed on YouTube and iTunes, and I follow you on Twitter. Love the content and the way you interact with your audience. Man, that's what it's all about. The audience makes the show. I tell you all the time, one thing that bothers me about sports talk radio is the fact that most people that do sports talk radio, they don't listen to their fans. They make it about them. If it's their show, they want to be the one to have the last say. If a person calls in and makes a good point, they, the producers are quick to turn the potch down so the host can sound louder than a caller. Trust me, I know this, man, because I control the levels at the radio station. Okay, so I know how high you can put the telephone, conversation. I know how loud you can make the microphone. But it's all about bringing a credibility to the host. But I'm not about that, man. I don't mind being called out. If I say something, you remember me saying something, fine. Call me out. You know what I'm saying? If you have a valid point, then I'm going to give you your credit for having that valid point. I feel like the most important thing on any show is not the host, but the people that make the show what it is. There's a reason why at the end of every quarter, you have what they call Nielsen ratings that come out. Okay. And no matter how good you think your content is, if you don't have an audience, most likely your show is going to get canceled. Okay. On YouTube, it's a little bit different, because if you're not listening to your audience and you don't give them their respect, then they can just easily go watch something else. There's over millions of hours of content on YouTube. Okay. Or iTunes. So I try to give you all the respect that you deserve. You make the show. People that come and I'm privileged to do interviews with. It all started with you all click and subscribe, so I appreciate that, straight up. I wonder who the coach is that's going to Houston to speak with Clowney. I don't know, man. It might be Dennis Allen. If you're trying to recruit a guy like the Davion Clowney, you're going to try to bring the best out. There's some times where if you have a number one recruit in the country, if let's just say if he's a high school guy and he's the number one recruit in the country, most likely you're probably going to have your head coach go out there and sit on his living room couch. So if the Saints are trying to recruit Jadeveon Clowney and they want him to feel as if he's a top priority, probably going to be Dennis Allen. You're not going to send the numbers guy, not the assistant defensive coordinator, but the guy that runs the numbers, the guy that has the notebook in his hand, that records how many tackles a guy had, just in case the computer don't ring it up correctly. You send him out there. Nah, but if you're recruiting a number one guy, you're going to send out the creme de la creme. So wouldn't be surprised if Dennis Allen is not in Louisiana right now and he's in Houston. Dwayne says, what up, TJ, the Who Dat Nation? What's going on, Dwayne? Appreciate you stopping by, man. Thank y'all, man. But as of right now, I'm going to welcome in from 104.5 ESPN in Baton Rouge from Off the Bench. We have T-Bob Hebert. What's going on, T-Bob?
Yo, what up? What's going on, man? Wait, can you all, everybody's good? You can hear me, see me, everything? We good? Sorry, I'm a little late.
Nah, you good, man. Just getting everybody warmed up for you. Yeah, but we can see you and we definitely can hear you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh yeah,
part of the State of the Saints podcast, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm super pumped. I cannot wait for next week. Yeah. The arms race that is currently taking place right now between it's like a Cold War right now with Peyton and Arians, dude. The Bucks add Fournette. The Saints now trying to add Clowney. It's incredible, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I said it last night on my podcast. I said it's almost like if you're neighbors, right? And you look next door and you see your neighbor who has a Mercedes Benz, and you like, okay, let me go out, and you go out and get a Phantom, or you know what I'm saying, you get a Bentley.
Yes,
coupe.
exactly.
So
everybody's trying to one up one another.
Yeah, absolutely. So T-Bob, let's go ahead and get started. What do you think about the Saints signing Jadeveon Clowney? Do you think it's a good move, a bad move? What's your take on
look,
it?
I think if you could pull it off, it's a great move, dude. I mean, 1 year, $10 million. Like at that point, when I see 1 year, the number is irrelevant to me. It's like, what number can, because if it's only for 1 year, then cap really doesn't come into play, because the number is the number, and it's either in line with the cap or it's not, right? So so 1 year, $10 million, hell yeah, man. It makes sense for both sides. If the Saints secondary is as good as we believe it to be from like the camp reports and stuff, and Janoris Jenkins sounds like he's going to be great this year. If they're as good as they can be, well, that helps the pass rush. And then you already know in Cam Jordan what you got, Hall of Famer Marcus Davenport went very well. Obviously, injuries is the big question with him, but the Marcus Davenport hype train is fully rolling. Sheldon Rankins, if he can get back to where he was 2 years ago, I mean, that is a pass rush that builds upon itself, and it almost becomes like the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts, because when you, like, let's say you have a third down package where you have Davenport and Clowney on the edges, and then Rankins and Jordan on the interior, everybody wins. Everybody's helped out. And then if the secondary is better, they hold on the ball longer. So, like, yeah, and for Clowney, it's make $10 million, reprove your worth. Like, you could stack stats here, and then go get paid long-term somewhere else. Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about this Tennessee Titans. Like, they're actually bidding for Jadeveon Clowney. Like, realistically, do you look at the Tennessee Titans as a potential threat to the New Orleans Saints and possibly signing Clowney?
I mean, I would say yes, just because that is kind of, the people are saying this are the two teams it's down to, and it's always so hard to get in, like, it's always, whenever it's an individual person deciding something, it's just super hard to predict what they're going to do, right? And I can't pretend to have like any inside info on the situation. I think looking at it, I think the Saints look like an objectively better landing spot. If he really does want to go to a Super Bowl contender, like Tennessee's all right, but look, they haven't gone 13-3 the past 2 years, right? They had a really hot half year. The Saints have won more games than any other NFL team over the past 3 years. So, like, if he really wants to contend for a Super Bowl, then it would seem like New Orleans a choice. And then, as I said, with the Saints defense and what I believe them to be this year, and if the offense is good, teams are going to have to be throwing to catch up. I think Clowney gives you a better chance, or I think Clowney has a better chance of stacking numbers. So, yeah, I mean, look, absolutely, he could end up in Tennessee, but I don't know. I think the Saints would make a lot more sense. And the Saints, dude, I don't know if you heard, but they're going like full college recruiting style. Extending a coach to Houston, right?
Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say the same exact thing. I mean, you going to LSU, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know about recruitment. I mean, having your top players text this guy and tell them about the food inside, that he can get in New Orleans, and talk about the opportunities, talking about how much he could be on TV. I mean, this sounds like Brian Kelly going into a recruit locker room and say, we're going to play all our home games on NBC. That's what it seems like. It's like they're trying to stop at nothing to try to get him, which I can understand, because T-Bob, I mean, it's pretty clear that the Saints are trying to stack the deck. They're really trying to get another Super Bowl championship. Yeah. A lot of people feel like this is going to be Drew Brees' last year, and they feel like this might be the last opportunity that they have. And you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, getting Leonard Fournette, I mean, getting Gronk, getting all these different weapons. So they want to make sure that they're more competitive than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and TJ, one thing that's I think interesting about this being the year for the Saints too is just that everything's kind of led to this moment where the cap is such, and players are in their rookie contracts at certain points. Like everything kind of perfectly aligned to where you can still have a team that has Breeze and Ramchick and Lattimore and Kamara and Mike Thomas, because although like the Saints have a lot more cap room than like national writers would have you believe, or if you just look at the contracts on the book for next year, like they have a lot more flexibility than a lot of people realize, but still with that cap, which we thought next year was going to be 215, now it's only going to be 175 potentially.
Wow.
I don't know. I just feel like you're in a really tough spot if you're really trying to bring back Kamara, Lattimore, and Ramchick on top of who you've already kept and paid. So, So, and then once you're in the post Breeze era, who knows what happens, right? So, this is that's why they're going so all in on Clowney, because they are absolutely all in on this year. Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned Kamara, the Who Dat Nation. I mean, they're inboxing me, emailing me. What about Kamara? What about Kamara? Everybody's trying to throw money at Clowney. What about Kamara? Do you see the New Orleans Saints re-signing him before week 1?
Yeah, I think so. Again, no inside info, just kind of reading the situation. I think both sides would ideally like to have a deal done by then. Like I said, the cap is the thing throwing the wrench in all of this. And the reason is because the Kamara contract could be a long-term. Like if you're talking about why Clowney, not Kamara, what are we talking about here? It's like I said, the number for Clowney is pretty much irrelevant, right? It's whatever Mickey Loomis thinks he can make work in the cap, because it's only a 1-year deal. It's a true mercenary deal. With something like Kamara, obviously that's going to be a multi-year commitment. And so it comes with more risk. It comes with you having to consider the like whatever you extend Lattimore and Ramchick to next year, that doesn't matter for the Clowney contract because he won't be here, right? So it's like in the Kamara contract, you have to take that into account. I think they'll find it. I think they'll pay him. Obviously, I think his side started about $15 million right under McCaffrey. I think the Saints maybe are 12 or something, but like Joe Mixon just signed for 12, so he'll get more than that. So you probably end up in like 13, 14, and maybe the Saints give less overall money, but more guarantees. Like they can get creative with this thing, and deadlines tend to kind of force things to get done. And so while it's not like a technical deadline, I feel like the beginning of the season does exert some pressure on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at maybe like 13.7 a year for 4 years, 55 million or something like that. Respectable.
And then maybe like maybe like the TJ, my bad, dude, but maybe like the majority of that guaranteed, right? Like to where Kamara can feel like, okay, this is not a super risky contract. It's maybe not the per year number I wanted, but I know what I'm getting when I sign.
Yeah. I mean, Kamara, you got to keep him in the organization. I feel like he is going to be very important to the Saints transition plan, after Drew Brees, because I often say, and I'm pretty sure I've heard a lot of people say this, the best friend of a young quarterback is a running game and a good defense. And I think Alvin Kamara actually helps you out, especially when it comes to, checking plays down, making plays happen. We've seen him with Teddy Bridgewater, even though Teddy Bridgewater isn't a rookie, but I mean, he's in comparison to like Drew Brees being there all those years and finally a new quarterback coming in. Technically, he was playing as if he was a rookie for the first time with the Saints. And you've seen Alvin Kamara in that Seattle Seahawks game, and you've seen him like make a lot of plays happen and help out Teddy Bridgewater tremendously. So I think that he is very, very important to what the Saints are going to do.
Kamara's gotten a bit of a weird couple years where I feel like he's been overly dinged. Like his reputation has suffered more than it should have. But what sucks? A lot of times that comes from playing hurt. Yeah. And that's what he did last season. And Underhill's got some numbers on it, but like if you look at like the first 5 games, not just statistically, but like broken tackle rate and stuff, the first 5 games of last year, he was pacing incredibly. He gets hurt, and then everything takes a big hit for the rest of the year. But it's like, and that's how we judge him. But then it's like, well, would you rather him sit out or still lay it on the line for the team? So no, look, I'm a firm believer. If the Saints end up splitting with Alvin Kamara, then they have failed. Like that is not the outcome that they want. I don't care if you get a first. I don't care if you get a first round pick or not.
Yeah, I mean, I went on record and said if the Saints were to allow Alvin Kamara to leave, that would be one of the biggest mistakes that this franchise has ever made. I think that he is that important to what the Saints do. And I had Nick Underhill on the show last week, and I think he said he was on pace before he got hurt to have something like 1,900 total yards from scrimmage. Or
Yeah,
something
there
like
you
that.
go.
I mean, something like just mind blowing. But I know they're going to get it signed. I mean, all signs indicate it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he goes back to practice. It seems like that I don't know what the heck that was going on, that circus that happened on Tuesday. I guess the Saints were off. They needed something to talk about. So, I mean.
It seems like somebody's wires got crossed. Maybe a side floated something or something, got a frustration. But, yeah, it ended up being a lot of drama over relatively nothing.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him play week 1. Let's talk about the defense. You mentioned Marcus Davenport earlier. For the last 2 years, he showed flashes, but he always tends to get hurt. Could this be the year he gets double-digit sacks for the first time?
I mean, I think he'll push double-digit sacks. I mean, I think his pressure rate when healthy last year would point to that. I guess I'm just thinking if they brought in Clowney, is that production then spread out a little bit more versus him garnering it? But then again, like I said, there's kind of a knock-on effect where maybe everybody just ends up with more. Right. So okay, here's the deal. I think this is how I feel on it. I'm not willing to commit to saying that I think it's likely that Marcus Davenport will get 10 sacks. I don't think we've seen enough consistency out of there for me to say that he will. He's certainly capable. I would say that he will hit 8 sacks at least this year. So I think he'll push, but I'm not going to say he hits 10.
I believe he's going to hit 10 on a condition that the Saints don't, just have a real full rotation if they sign Clowney. I think he can get 10 sacks. I think that he was, I think he was headed towards the right direction before he got injured. Those last 2 weeks before he got hurt, he had 4 sacks. So he had 2 in each game. So he was on a rise.
That's true. If he doesn't get hurt, he might have hit it last year.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is, he just always seems to have some type of injury, and he always misses a huge amount of time. So I think if he can just get his injury woes under control, and I know, you can't really control that. You're out there, you're playing, you're putting your best foot forward, and all of a sudden, an injury happens. But if he can keep that under control, if he can stay on the field, I think that he can be that monster that the Saints want him to be. You see flashes, like he does, like freakishly athletic.
No, he's a physical monster. He is a freak of nature. That's why he got drafted where he did. That's why the Saints felt comfortable giving up those resources. And he looks like TJ. He may be even more freaky this year because the word on the street is he's up to like 280 or like 285 or something. So he's like, he is fully trying to learn. He's trying to make himself into like a baby Cam Jordan, which who better to learn from than the all-decade legend himself, future Hall of Famer Cam Jordan. So we'll see, dude. I hope you're right. I hope he hits a 10.
Yeah. A lot of contract issues with the New Orleans Saints. They said they're going to have next year, especially talking about possibly being over the cap. What's one player on the New Orleans Saints team you feel like is going to be a cap casualty?
I should preface this with I'm not super read up on the Saints cap situation. I did a segment on it like a couple weeks ago, and I was mainly, you talked to Nick, right? So if y'all talked about it, like that's whose information I was going off of. And well, okay, so what else is odd about this question is a ton of it hinges on whether or not Drew Brees returns next year. True. Because if Drew Brees does not return, I can't remember the exact number, but if he does not return, that is a significant portion of the salary cap that is suddenly freed up. I guess what he's making around $20 million. We'll just say like roughly $20 million, right? So when we're talking about the Saints, we're planning for 215. Now it's 175. It's a $40 million gap you got to account for. Taking 20 off the top is huge. So like if Brees isn't there, then I think you have a very good chance of restructuring and making everything work and not really having, any core player be considered like a cap casualty. If Brees doesn't retire, then I don't know. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know realistically if with the 175 cap, with the Pete extensions and other extensions you gave this offseason, I don't know if you could keep Lattimore and Ramchick. And I think you'd probably be committed to Ramchick there, but And maybe I'm wrong there, right? Maybe you get rid of a lot of the other, like Sanu of the team and you keep all the big names. I mean, CD Deuce looks like he's doing, word on the street is he's doing better and better. I mean, Underhill's been raving about PJ Williams. So like, it's tough to say now just because so much of what happens this year and then Breeze retire or not will determine it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the cap is an issue, I feel like the one person will be Marcus Williams. I feel like Marcus Williams is probably going to be that guy because I can't remember who said this, but they said, they made a good point. They said the Saints don't really keep safeties. You look at Malcolm Jenkins, you look at Von Bell. The Saints have a way of moving guys out. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, this might be. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think that he might be one of the guys, even though, I think that Marcus Williams is way more talented than people give him credit for. But
yes, that's the weird thing about Williams is that he's actually been like kind of like really, really good in coverage. Like he's been excellent. His tackling's not been excellent, but it's been solid. But he just has, unfortunately, like two of the biggest mistakes and the most like clear, like this was your fault moment. Right. So I always say that Marcus Williams is suffering from O-line disease. Nobody gives a shit about the O-linemen when they win 9 out of 10 plays, but God forbid they give up a sack because that's the only time you will talk about them, or if they jump off sides or something.
I mean, that's true. I mean, we know the Who Dat Nation. We know the Who Dat Nation, they're elephants. They don't forget things. So no matter how many plays he makes. Like I remember week 1 against the Houston Texans. When he caught that interception, this guy covered like 20 yards of field to come clean across the field, to jump in front of that interception. And I think about a play, even though the Saints lost against the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, some of the plays that he makes, I mean, they're unbelievable. And I feel like with the addition of Malcolm Jenkins, who, he doesn't now have to worry about what PJ Williams is going to do or is this player going to run past PJ. Now he can focus on his assignment. And I honestly think that this is probably going to be one of the best seasons he has in the Saints uniform because now he doesn't have to worry about, covering for this guy, that guy. He knows Malcolm Jenkins is going to be where he needs to be. And he can focus on just being the best playmaker that he can be. So I like Marcus Williams.
And I like him too, but then that all becomes so much more complicated next year.
Yeah.
Like you have what could be considered a very good problem to have, which is just that you've drafted so well that you want to keep everyone, but your players are raising their value so much that you just can't.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the nature of the beast, right? I mean, and also that's the curse of the 2017 draft, right? Everybody's saying, oh, this was the greatest draft by any team in history. I mean, offensive and defensive rookie of the year, all pro bowlers all over. But I mean, with that, I mean, you better win now because those guys are constantly bringing their value up. So this is going to be an issue for the Saints, and it's going to come down to who do you feel like you really need in order to help your team be successful down the line.
But it's a better problem to have than like the Jaguars where you've had like top 10 picks every single year and every top 10 picks either out the league or playing for someone else. Like what the hell, dude?
It's funny you said that. I actually seen a video on Twitter and there was this guy who was a Jaguar fan and he was in his closet. And he had these Jaguar jersey. He had a Jalen Ramsey jersey. He moved it back. He had a Fournette jersey. He moved it back. Blake Bortles moved it back. It's like he had like nothing but with first round picks in his closet. I would not want to be a Jaguar fan right now. I mean, unbelievable, man. Somebody needs to do something about their front office.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Yeah, before I go, man, I got to ask you, I mean, if anybody follows you on Twitter, they know you're a big-time New Orleans Pelicans fan, man. You follow the Pelicans. You're emotionally invested in the team.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about Brandon Ingram and your thoughts on him being the most improved player? And what about Zion?
What up? Got my Ingram shirt on right now.
Yeah, but him being most improved player and how do you see the future of Zion going? What do you see in year one from Zion?
I'm still very bullish. I feel good about the future of the Pelicans. And let's be clear, I approach the Pelicans as a fan. I can't pretend to be like an NBA analyst or anything. I've loved the game my entire life, but I just watch it as a fan. But that said, what held the Pelicans back most in the Dell Demps era was a lack of a coherent long-term vision. Yeah. Everything was very reactive. You were constantly changing strategies. Yeah. There was the 1 year where you re-sign Omer Asik and everybody else because you're like, we need continuity and chemistry. And then you fire the head coach. Right. If you made the playoffs, you fire Monty Williams and switch. It's like, well, that's not continuity. So there was always this reactive, let's go grab Cousins. It was so scattered. Yeah. David Griffin has brought a clear vision. He's hired really well. I love Trajan Langdon in that GM role. Yeah. Gail Benson has committed to making the Pelicans their own thing, right? Yeah. She has split the power structure. She gave them new facilities. Like, it's no longer like Mickey Loomis trying to just run the Pelicans on the side. Right. And then you got the players now. You got Zion. You got a really nice young core. I love Jackson Hayes. Yep. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has a lot of potential. And so I think the long-term future is very bright. I think that it's tough to know too much what to make of Zion because his highs are so high. Right. Like, he was constantly putting up stats where it's like he's the first player since Shaq to do this, the first player since Michael Jordan. So it was like all this crazy stuff, but then also the lows are pretty low, right? And there are injury concerns and unfortunately, it seems like so much of the bubble was centered around the Pelicans and Zion, and they had such a great chance to gain the hearts and minds of New Orleanians first, and then national people second, and they just failed terribly at that. And so everybody feels real low. But if it's like a stock market, right, I feel like the price would be driven down right now, but I would say buy. Because I think that they will be very good. I just don't know what to do with Lonzo Ball because I actually believe in him and think that me too. He's going to be really good, but I don't know how much money you can commit to him. Yeah.
Who do you think is going to be the next head coach of the Pelicans? If you were just looking at the landscape, who would you bring in that you feel would be a good fit for the Pelicans team?
Okay, so I get asked this a lot. I don't know, to be honest, TJ. I don't know, man. I think choosing NBA coaches is so tough to begin with. Right. I do know that I find some things unattractive. I don't really like some of the retreads, like Jason Kidd did nothing for me. Right. Mark Jackson rumors do nothing for me. Right. I wasn't I wasn't on the Ty Lue rumors, but a lot of people in the know love Ty Lue as a potential candidate, right? So it's like, I can't pretend to know better than these guys. So I don't have a great opinion. What makes me feel better about it is, like I said, I do trust in David Griffin and Trajan Langdon, and I trust their process. And so, I think whoever they land on, even if my initial reaction is kind of, I'll just I'll cede to their judgment. Yeah. But then I'm also someone, though, I like taking a risk. I mean, look at the coaches that are still hanging around right now. Nick Nurse, Brad Stevens. Yeah. These were their first head coaching jobs. And I was a Popovich maybe in the club, was like whatever. But point is, there's a lot of good coaches that end up in a place forever, but it's because at one point somebody took a chance on them and gave them that first job. Yeah. Well, no matter who they select as head coach, I think we both can agree that the future of the New Orleans Pelicans is bright. As long as Zion Williamson is healthy and, that force that everybody knows he's going to be. But T-Bob, thank you so much for your time, man. And let everybody know how they can get in touch with you. Yeah, I'm at T-Bob53 on Twitter. I do Off the Bench Morning Sports Talk Show, 7 to 10 a.m. If you Google 104.5 ESPN YouTube, we're live there every day. And we're on 100.3 in New Orleans. So if you like that, you can check us out there as well. Thanks so much, TJ. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, thank you, T-Bob. Thank you for your time, man.
Yes, take sir. Care. Who dat?
Yeah, man. Shouts out to T-Bob Hebert, man. Great insight. And y'all got some Pelicans information, man. So the best of both worlds right there. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. YouTube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Check out the audio podcast, Who Dat Nation, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, wherever you get your streaming app, you can get it on any of those devices. Okay, so you all take care. Have a good and productive day. If there's any news that comes down pertaining to Jadeveon Clowney, trust and believe that your boy will have you covered. All right, so y'all be blessed, be happy, be healthy, enjoy your Friday, and like always, all I gotta say is, who dat?